You're listening to Life with Herpes, and this is episode 62. Hi, you guys. I am your host, Alexandra Harbushka, and I'm really excited because we have a guest today. And our guest is an intimacy expert, and she helps men and women who have wounded hearts so they can enjoy the soul-shaking conscious relationships, which is everything we want. And as we know on a personal level, herpes, as we know, can be a huge block in intimacy, and the fear of an STD can just absolutely put a roadblock into dating and intimacy and being open and wanting to even get into that life or re-enter into the life of dating. So not only does our guest have her own personal journey to share about herpes, she has proven insights, tools, practices, rituals, and has worked with hundreds to help them release the shame and live a very fulfilling life. So I bring to you this beautiful guest, Allana Pratt. Welcome, Allana.
Oh, and so great to be here and talk about beautiful bride-to-be.
Thank you.
Oh, lusciousness. Congratulations. It's really exciting.
Thank you. Yes. Well, as we're recording this, I was talking to Allana before we started recording, and we are just talking about our businesses and what's going on. And I said, well, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. So I really haven't focused on my business. I focused on being a bride.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. As you should. Everything has its time.
It does. So it's a really fun time in my life. And for those of you that have been a bride or know what's going through, it's a really exciting time. And it's all these changes and it's spiritual and it's fun. It's such a fun time. But anyways, that's not why we're here to talk about my wedding. I'm sure we'll have pictures later, so don't worry. I'll put them up on.
I can't wait to see. Yes. You're so gorgeous. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for the honor of being able to be on your podcast, because I got herpes back when I was 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I was living in Japan. I was a model. I was a spokesperson. I was a dancer, and I was really quite lonely. Like I didn't have any family. I had made friends, obviously, but there was nobody that was like my compadre, like my homie, like somebody that knew me. And this rugby team came to town from a little tiny town in Canada where I'm from, like right beside
mm-hmm.
it. So it felt like my brothers or whatever. And this
mm-hmm.
really hot guy who had a great heart, and we made out, and I was so so safe. I had the condom, everything was cool, had a great time with him. And then the next morning we just had like a little quickie, and I didn't have another condom, and I didn't honor my truth. I didn't just say, oh, well then I'll see you next weekend or whatever. I went for it. And then, a couple days later, this horrible outbreak happened. And I remember getting on the phone, still makes me cry, like 25 years ago. I said to my mom, no one's ever going to love me. Mm-hmm. And the sentence that I like this vow of suffering that I placed upon myself, like my poor mom, she was, shocked as well, on the other side of the earth, couldn't help me. Did her best to console me. But it's amazing when something like herpes, quote unquote, hits your life, how quickly we go to judgment, how quickly we go to sentencing ourselves to no love, and it's over. And so while I didn't really understand this at the time, my whole life journey set me up to heal from this and inspire others to heal from this, not just emotionally, but physically as well, because it's all connected. And so I was, I'm telling you everything right out of the gate.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I have so many questions and I can't wait. This is awesome.
Okay, so I was a topless showgirl in Japan. Uh-huh. And that wasn't like the goal when I went over there. I was trained in ballet and jazz and tap and all this stuff. But when I got there, there was, and I auditioned and I got the job, and it was the Four Seasons Hotel. So beautiful, so classy.
Oh, wow.
And I got there and there were no tops to the costumes. And I'm like, oh shit. But all the other girls, French girls, Australian girls, cultures where our bodies are not made to feel so ashamed as North American culture, they were like, hello, boobs are beautiful. Like, what's your problem? Like, I was the weird one, not them. So I'm like,
interesting.
I can do this. No one's going to know. So out I got there, and I was still ashamed. And here's what I noticed, Alexandra, on the stage, there was the audience. And on their side of the stage, as they danced, the men in the audience were like honoring them. They were almost like little Boy Scouts, like, bowing,
Mm-hmm.
seeing them as a goddess. But because I was shaming myself, I was judging myself as a piece of meat, you slut for dancing with no top on kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The men on my side of the stage were leering at me like, hey, tall glass of water. Like they weren't honoring me. And yet it was the same dance steps. It was like basically the same looking woman. It was the
Huh.
energy. It was the thought going on inside, translated into energy, translated into how they would interact. And this is a huge lesson in dating and intimacy in relationships. What you believe about yourself is a vibration. It's a truth. And you will put it out there and it will vibrationally be mirrored and matched. It's science by who you attract. And so because I was judging me, they were judging me. Got it? And
Wow.
it's pretty like amazing.
And
Here's
at 20 years old too.
Right. And so here I am dancing with all these girls from the Moulin Rouge and all the rest of it. And so I'm like, okay, they're my spiritual teachers. So I am going to, and this is an ancient practice called Tong Glen. I think it's like a Tibetan.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe in the suffering of the world. You affirm love and you exhale out compassion. It's like an ancient practice. So I breathed in the next day on stage. I breathed in their judgment of me. I affirmed I am a goddess, a work of art, and I exhaled it out. And you know what happened? Everybody in my section stood up, like set up, like they started bowing. They looked at me. I'm like,
wow,
I'm in charge. Oh my God. And so that totally transformed my life. And then I applied it to the herpes. Mm-hmm. If I judge myself as dirty, wrong, bad, naughty, a slut, the rest of it, I will be right. And I will attract people that agree with me.
That treat you that absolutely.
Totally. But if I see the herpes as a gift, as like initially maybe an unwanted friend, but as I get to know them, a friend with a gift, a friend with a message, a friend with a spiritual, the capacity to help me spiritually awaken, it can actually lift me to higher heights. And I can know in every cell of my body that I am a work of art and that this is totally no big deal. And I can stay intimate and connected and receive that level of honor because I'm willing to honor myself.
Wow. That is, okay. I like, there's so much to talk about that everything I'm just.
Bring it, girl.
So that time on stage is what propelled you 20 years later, not knowing that this would be who you are and you teach this now. And I think everybody listening, I know I have, I think at some point we've all witnessed this, right? Or we've all shifted something in some way and we go, whoa. But I think we forget to use it. And I think it's because we're scared of it. And I think it's because we are trained in Western culture, in society, to use logic and not to use spirituality. And I think we go back to being those little kids that are just scared of not being the one picked for in the cool group, or you don't get to sit with me at lunch, or your peanut butter and jelly sandwich looks disgusting and mine doesn't. And you go back, whatever story that we all have a different story, right? Whatever that story is, I think we just go back to that when you're in fear of the whole energy. And this is huge intimacy to begin with, let alone herpes. I mean, we've now thrown something on top of the dating game.
I would just like to say, I believe souls that take on things like being gay, being Black, being a woman, having an STD, like these type of quote unquote challenges in the world, I think those are the badass souls. I think those are the souls that are really here to grow and learn, because it's super easy to be perfect and everybody likes you and then you die. That was pretty easy. But what if you have to deal with rejection? How do you end the fear of rejection? How do you, and I have this whole like 7-week course that I teach, and this awesome, like, I have so many free gifts for people. It's crazy. But anyways, I go through how to come home to little you, just like that little one you spoke of with the peanut butter sandwich. Really, that's what gets triggered when you get the news of herpes and all of the fear of rejection and the pain and the, what if I'm alone forever comes up. But here's the other part that I'm not sure people quite get, which is what I go really deeply into to shift, which I think is the core that allows you to source your self-worth from the inside out, not people's approval from the outside in. And that's really the core basis of my teaching, that if you need other people's approval, appreciation, agreement, can I swear?
Oh yeah.
You're fucked. You're fucked. You will always give away your power for the rest of your life. Always. But if you can source your sense of approval, safety, security, and home from the inside out, you're free. That's the key, right? So there's an exercise I do with little you where you go in and instead of trying to fix little you and put little you in a good mood and tell little you to work, on the bright side, or even get mad at little you, shut the fuck up, you stop being so scared, stop being so ashamed, like you need to change. Like those don't work. It's really going in and just going, hey, it sucks, doesn't it? You have every right to be sad. You have every right to be scared. And I will sit with you. I, big me, will sit with little you for eternity, if that's how long it takes for you to feel better. That's called unconditional love. Conditional love is, oh, I hope you feel better now. Let's go out. We got a date, or like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's conditional. And we judge ourselves, reject ourselves, control ourselves, dominate ourselves, and expect to grow. It's insane. It's only through unconditional love, which means I love you without condition forever, no matter what, even if you never change, that creates that moment of grace, that moment of transformation. And that's the blessing I have in the courses I teach and in the coaching that I do, is to hold that space of unconditional love, which I did not used to have, that I now have. So I am the vibration of being on the other side of the bridge. And I am patient for eternity, teaching them to be patient for eternity. And I just hold space. It's not like I do something. It's not like I'm this crazy healer person. But it's the vibration that's healing. It's the invitation. And then they let go or step in, or however you want to look at it. And then they own the transformation in every 100 trillion cells of their body themselves. They don't need me to feel better. I taught them to fish.
To do it. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and that's so true in all aspects of life, not just dating, not just dealing with herpes. It is when you walk into a room and you're going to get rejected, you do. It's like walking into a test knowing you're going to fail, opposed to walking in and knowing you're going to pass. And you don't know the answers any better or worse. You just know if you're going to pass or fail. Like you know them. You know the outcome already. And I think the ability to use these tools that you taught yourself and are teaching others are just huge, because intimacy, take out herpes, take out an STD. We all already don't know how to be intimate, right?
Yeah.
We've put up so many walls. Yeah. We've decided we've all been hurt. Yeah. We've all been taken advantage of, and we've all been the hurter or the take advantage of whatever I'm trying to say. We've played both sides, right, to protect our hearts.
Yes.
And at what point are we not going to do that anymore? And at what point do we say, I'm going to make a change? And I think going back to, I don't know your situation dealing with herpes and dating. I know my situation. No one that I wanted to ever said no. I would use it to get out of having sex. So I would do it in a way that I know they would say no.
Right. Yeah.
And I'd be like,
you never wanted. Yeah.
I'm like, I really don't want to sleep with you, but I've never been rejected.
Oh,
is I guess the word for having herpes.
Right. I have. When I was still judging myself so harshly and I was so ashamed of myself, that vibration got mirrored in a guy that literally ran out of the house. Yeah. So for me, whenever life gets really intensely triggered, at least I don't know how I figured this out, but I do know how I figured this out. I knew that it's a lesson and it's an invitation to grow. Back when I was 16, my best friend died suddenly. And my cat hadn't even died. Nobody died. My grandmother hadn't died. Nobody died. My best friend died. And it was within about 24 hours of it happening, or getting the news, that I made the distinct decision: never know them and never feel this fear or this pain. Know them and feel this pain. 100%. I will get through this, right? And it was in that decision that I will learn how to navigate a broken heart, that I learned how to open it. I learned how to live fully because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to say I love you when I felt it, not worrying about the rejection. I learned to take risks. I hopped on my Uncle Phil's 18-wheeler semi from Canada and moved to LA and then moved to Tokyo. Like I went for it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the gift I took from that painful experience.
Ah.
Right. So when the guy ran out of the house, I'm like, okay, we have some work to do here. And I'm like, okay, so my fear of rejection, that's what that looks like. That's me running out of the house right now. That's me running away from me right now. So let's turn back. And that's how the whole little you process started. And this is not for the faint of heart. But again, as I said, I really believe anybody dealing with, as you just said, intimacy issues in general, let alone herpes, we're here because we're ready to be the old souls. We're ready to be those spiritual warriors of the light, to love ourselves and not have the fear of rejection determine our actions on this planet.
Absolutely. And I don't, like you said, going back to old souls and souls that basically choose these situations, because on a spiritual side, I do believe we've chosen it on some level, right?
Yeah,
but I also believe that we are given these hardships. I don't even know if it's an unwanted situation, I guess, is
a challenge.
A challenge.
Yeah.
We're not given challenges that we can't handle.
Correct.
And I was a little girl. I was like maybe 6th grade, 7th grade. And I overheard someone saying, a family friend, her husband was killed in an avalanche and then dealing with 6 kids later. And so she said, you know what? An old proverb that she heard along the way was, I would never change my situation for somebody else's. I know how to handle being a widow with 6 kids.
Right.
I don't know how to handle whatever another situation is. And I look at things that get thrown at us in life. There's things that are not perfect. Of course, there's things that are ups and downs. There's things that you're like, I don't really want to deal with it. But I would never change that situation because I know how to handle it. Or I know it's like you said, it's come into your life to be a reflection of really what's dealing in your life. And that guy that ran out of the room was really a reflection of what you're running from. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with herpes. It took me a long time to get like, it's no big deal.
Right.
It took some time, yes. and I'm sure most people go through that self-loathing, the self-hatred. I mean, I had acne. I don't have acne. I had horrible acne, the stuff comes out of you.
Yes, it does. Yes.
I mean, I can't imagine being 20 years old in another country. 20 is I was 28. So, I mean, I had some life experience and I was 8 years older than you when I got herpes. That's pretty significant at that point in life.
Yes.
And to be, I can't imagine being 20, being across the world in a country that you don't speak the language, in a country that you don't know how to get medical help, in a country you don't know what and there was no Google then, and you can't look up a word go to encyclopedia to look up the word herpes, to then define a definition, and then I'm sure find out how do you do this in Japanese.
Right. Yeah, it was intense. It was intense. And the beautiful lesson is all the lessons about our sexuality were in my face at that time, because I was on the one hand loving the empowerment I had, treating myself like a work of art on the stage, learning from these women from France and Australia about loving my body and really seeing the sacredness of our beauty and the sacredness of the curve of our hips and what it can, when you hold yourself as sacred and a divine temple, how you can awaken this nobility in a man. And yet, when you see yourself as a piece of meat and you quote unquote prostitute your energy to manipulate a situation to get love or attention, how it awakens the worst in him. Really, he treats you like what you think you are, right?
Yeah.
So it's for the good of the planet, for us women to see our bodies as sacred divine temples, and for us to see our STDs as invitations to awaken and become enlightened, and to speak our truth and to shine in the face of anything and to open our heart in the face of anything. So all this is like really super positive. about our sexuality. And then the more I've learned over the past 25 years as a coach, I'm kind of like a nerd with science. I interview quantum physicists all the time on my show, because I want to get, when our intuition is telling us something, can we prove that in science? When we're actually, quote unquote, opening our heart, is there something actually vibrationally changing in our life? When our thoughts change, I am a work of art. Can we actually get better results? Like, I wanted the science behind what was happening in my own life. So when I taught it, I could really have something to stand on here. And so, be it women or men that are listening, if you just simply shift, like, what would it take for me to look at my body, including the herpes, to look at my sexuality as sacred, as a gift? It changes the game. It changes the game. Like, you are now a contribution. And then what we've learned from science is that, like, you've probably heard it in metaphysical or spiritual teachings, like, in me, as me, through me, like life, God, the universe coming in me, as me, through me, like co-create with me. When we try to do things on our own, scared, pushing, it's hard, it's exhausting. And even if we get it, we got to hold on to it. So we're always in fear, like, the whole time. But if you can surrender and open this heart in vulnerability, you can love yourself so much that while you'd prefer that he didn't run out of the room, if he does, you're going to be okay. He wasn't fun for you anyways. Like, when you can really come from that full open place, then the life force energy, sexual energy, chi, can come in you, as you, and through you. And you can start to co-create with the divine these incredible creative ideas, or inspirations to date here, or inspirations to do a podcast. Like, you are now co-creating with the divine, filled with love and light and inspiration and compassion and everything, strength that you require, because you're not alone anymore. But when we judge ourselves, shut our hearts, we become alone, and it makes the journey a hell of a lot harder.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that was beautifully said. Everything. I can't, I have nothing to say after that. I mean, that was it. But when you look at intimacy, and that's what you're an expert in, do you believe that having herpes has allowed you to become more intimate with your partner or partners?
Totally. Because yes, absolutely. Because intimacy, if you break it down, into me, I see. And you go inside and you see the ashamed little girl in the back corner of the left like the left heart chamber. She's way back there. And you heal that relationship. And you love her unconditionally, even if she never changes, even if the herpes never goes away, even if she's always a little timid, can you still love her? There's something about coming into intimate communion, vulnerable connection, honest, raw, real, trusting of yourself. I'm not going to shove you away anymore. When that intimate relationship becomes whole, something goes, the security you've always looked for on the outside goes away. The safety goes, like seeking on the outside. The approval, the appreciation, everything you've always been seeking on the outside dissolves away, and it goes like clunk on the inside. And while it does that with yourself, I think it's like little Russian dolls. You also, into the universe. Oh, I didn't think you had my back anymore because you gave me herpes. In fact, I'm quite angry at you, right? So you start to then reform your relationship with the divine.
Yep.
While you're forming
resentful.
You have to deal with that and face that and transform that, to see that the universe never was against you, didn't punish you, didn't forget about you. So when you have that inner with little you, then you turn around, you're like, oh, hey, hi. And now you have to like heal your relationship with the universe. And when you have that infinitely inward to little you and infinitely outward to the universe, wholeness, connection, intimate relationship, it's like you're bookended. You can be. And then you go into intimacy with a person, and you don't have to hide. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to withhold. You don't have to justify. You don't have to give reasons. You don't have to do any of that. I don't know if you want to lead on your first date, hey, I'm Allana with herpes. Like, I don't lead with that in my bio or whatever, but in specific situations with clients, specific situations like your podcast. And obviously, after a couple of dates, when you start to like this person and you want to talk about sexuality, you have to talk about, like, are you on birth control? Do you have any STDs? Here's where I am. And like, you have to have that conversation. So it allows you to not resist it, not be afraid of it. And just like, here I am. The good, the bad, the ugly. Tell me about you. And when we are in the presence of another who is totally at peace with who they are, it's an invitation for the other person to be at peace with who they are and share. And the honesty and the vulnerability and the connection that we've all really craved, that we've done the work to create on the inside and with the universe, you're actually looking in the eyes of somebody that's having this relationship of intimacy, and it's exquisite.
Oh yeah.
It's exquisite, and it's worth it. It's worth the journey.
And you're able to go deeper in a sexual relationship, in an emotional relationship, in so many, I mean, what's sexier than that? I mean, hot sex it's not this amazing orgasm that like you think that we have this false reality of what hot sex is from the porn industry, right?
Yeah.
And really when you look at what it is intimacy that is on this deeper soulful connection that just goes and that's what it is. And the way that you get there, like we are just talking about, is by going deep within yourself and accepting yourself and talking to your little self and being okay with it. And like you just explained, when you have the conversation about, okay, we want to get intimate. Let's talk about STDs. Let's talk about birth control. Let's talk about, and also what are you kind of into? Are you just going to be conventional or do you want to be swinging from the chandelier? And if you are not compatible on that, then that's not going to work either. It's just like,
totally.
It's like if someone wants to, have no kids and the other one wants to be like Angelina Jolie and adopt every kid from every other country. Like that's just not going to work,
Yes. All of the different conversations, even conversations about money.
Yes.
Right. Like these are the biggies. As an intimacy coach, I not only coach, couples who are, maybe they've had an affair or maybe things have gotten stale. That's maybe 10% of my business, but 80% are, 90% are single men, single women who have been so burned that they can't open their heart and all they do is attract emotionally unavailable people. Why? We are talking about this because they're emotionally unavailable to themselves, their bodies, to their maybe in their divorce, they lost their house and their savings and they're in their 40s and they ought to be more accomplished. Like there's whatever reason.
Right.
They're not in an intimate relationship, because you can have an intimate relationship with another, as we said, with little you, with the divine, but you can have it with herpes. You can have an intimate relationship with your body, with your sexual desires, with your money, with your business. Like all of these are like, where are you not sitting in the fire, telling the truth, creating what you really desire in your life? I get very bored with just like shallow conversations. I get to have intimate conversations all day long.
You get to go deep. Yeah.
I love it.
And this is so great too, because I hear a lot from my community here, Life with Herpes. I hear a lot, and it's the initial shock. And hey, we went through it. We get it. Totally. The initial shock is nobody will love me.
Yeah.
Or the initial shock, if you are in a partnership, a relationship, and one has herpes and the other doesn't.
Right.
The shock or the fear, like we talked about holding on, let me just hold on to the relationship because no one else is going to love me. And he or she already knows that I have herpes and we're okay, is holding on to a relationship that may or may not fizzle. And if a relationship ends due to herpes, I think people need to realize that herpes really isn't the reason why it ended.
Yes.
It's just an easy scapegoat. It's surface level. Yeah. And it doesn't require a lot of conversation. It's just kind of like people get it, opposed to saying going in, getting intimate, going deep. So how do you recommend people getting through the first hump of, oh my God, I have herpes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What do I do?
So I have like these incredible like complimentary trainings I want to offer everybody that are going to be helpful, but specifically to this answer, it's really good timing too. I think you're going to be airing this soon, right? Okay. So there's a 4-part video series that's coming out in December, first week of December. And step 2 is about navigating intense emotions. And this is a skill that most of us don't have. And we suppress it. We drink, we go on Facebook, whatever we do, right? And so in order to get to little you who's inside, there's emotions to navigate, the shock, the fear, the anger. There's a lot of these. And if we try to stuff them and don't process, integrate, ride the wave, get on the surfboard and ride the wave, we will never fully heal. And it'll always come up as another trigger. Somebody's going to say something, someone's going to reject you. It'll never heal by avoidance. And so just like I go through this, like probably
then you're in fear of that conversation. You're in fear of, oh my God. Yeah. And then it blows up.
Yeah. And then you get acne and like all that, your body responds in all these other ways to tell you, hey, we got some work to do.
We got to work on this.
Yeah. So like be willing to navigate these intense emotions. And so like a really so I do it for about 20 minutes in the video. So you really can go deep, but basically it's allowance. Allowance doesn't mean I like it or I prefer it. It just means I'm not going to resist it. Whenever you resist, you give away your power. That is a guarantee. Okay. Resist yourself. You resist the feeling, you resist another, you resist life, you resist in any direction, you are guaranteed to stop the flow of life, you are guaranteed to give away your power, and you're guaranteed for every one of those resistances to hit you every day of your life in some way to make you feel like shit. So allowance is vulnerability. Allowance is opening in the face of intensity. Allowance is like, if you could imagine your arms, you can't really see mine, but stretched all the way out. It is what it is, motherfucker, motherfucker, whatever. And then on the exhale, I let go of all resistance to wanting to change this. Again, open the heart. My mom's mantra, shit, fuck, goddamn, bugger down. That's what she used to say. She was an English teacher, never swore except when something happened. So, oh God, I'm going to let go on my exhale of wanting to fix or change this situation. I'm going to open wide. It is what it is. And I'm going to let go of judging myself or the situation. And so I go through this allowance, the embodiment of it, not just the thought of it, the embodiment of allowance. You will cry, you will scream, you will clench, you will go through all of these emotions. That's the point. Sit in the fucking fire. You're stronger than you think you are. It is what it is. I let go of trying to change it, even this. And as you go through this process and you're willing to be real and you're willing to feel, you'll go, oh my God, I thought that emotion was about to kill me. Huh, look at that. I'm still here. Wow. I thought that was going to take me out. I was going to have a nervous breakdown. Oh, look at that. I'm still here. I just screamed into a pillow. I thought someone was going to reject me. No, I'm still here. Okay. And then you go, oh, I can navigate intense emotions. And then as you get to the other side, and literally as this is happening, the central nervous system is calming down, the brain synapses, you're making new brain synapses that I got this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, prefrontal cortex. I got this.
You're retraining your brain.
Totally. And you're retraining your central nervous system and you're retraining your hormonal receptors that want to do adrenal fight or flight all the time and have you freaked out and tired and exhausted and everything. You're literally scientifically retraining your body. And then we begin to bring in the visualization on the next video. Hi, little you. I was having trouble finding you because every time I went towards you, which is really him or her feeling the feelings, right? We're like, every time we went toward it, I avoided you. I went on Facebook. I had another drink. I'm sorry. I did the work. That's how much you mean to me. I never gave up. I'm here, right? And that coming home is really real. And then again, everything happens with the brain and the body of that sense of true inner safety and sanctuary. That would be like what I would tell people to go through. I would tell them to work with a coach like you. I would tell them to work with a coach with me, to cocoon yourself in the vibration of someone who's been there and is on the other side, who won't judge you, won't push you, won't fix you. Just be with you because you're not broken, even though it feels like it. You just had the shit kicked out of you. And that's okay. That's okay. We gotcha. And then to go through the process, once that's all happened, I have another very politically incorrect, I call it the theater of redemption. It's a really healthy way to get rid of anger against the universe, against yourself, against your body, against the person that gave you the herpes. Like, we've got to also be really realistic with our anger. A lot of people, when we get angry, they shove it down, which causes depression, or they lash it out, which is unkind to others, to reject them or to be cruel. So what do we do with this intensity? We've got to learn, again, how to navigate anger, which is just potency. So I have another process, the theater of redemption, that I take them through so you can healthily let out the anger, but then you can transform like an alchemy, transform it. Okay, what is the gift in this? And then that's where you need to take the action when that energy is asking you to actually be or do something different. That's when you actually transform in your life. And yeah, it's a process, which is why I work with people for a while or courses for a while, but
it takes time to heal.
But I promise you, if you do the work, you will be more alive, more confident, more surrendered, more available, more sexy, more happy, more grateful.
And other things will show up in your life.
How can it not if your entire vibration raises? Like, so did the rest of the world. Work, friendships, body,
love, all that.
Marriage in 3 weeks. Like,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. There's no way I would be in the relationship that I am in today had I not, kind of like you said, take a chance. go out there,
Yeah.
go work for what you want,
Yeah.
and live every day to the fullest and heal.
Yeah.
And yeah, are there days that you're like, this sucks, fuck herpes?
Right.
Yeah, of course, you know,
Right.
when you get an outbreak and it's painful and you want to, you know, but would I change it for the world? No. Would I
No.
change it? Would I get, nope.
No, you're such a fucking inspiration, woman, doing this show. Like, you are changing the world by your willingness to not judge
Thank you.
yourself and give it a safe space for people to let go of judgment and to live fully. I
Thank
love
you.
it. I absolutely
Thank
love it.
you.
I think
It's,
one of,
I say it's been, and I've been on my own personal journey. You know, you get through something. I'm like, oh, that doesn't bother me at all. And then like something will happen. I'm like, oh, that triggered something interesting.
mm-hmm.
You know, like I didn't think that would trigger what, and it's stuff I talk about all the time. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know how you drive down the road and you've driven down the same road your entire life. And all of a sudden you see a sign that has been there for the last 20 years. And you're like, I've never seen that sign. And all of a sudden it like comes to you when it's supposed to. This whole life with herpes journey has also been really spiritual, comforting, awakening. I've gone deeper in my relationships. I've had to be more bold and honest and confident. And it's been interesting too, watching the energy shift, kind of like you were saying with your story, being in Japan and being a dancer, and how the energy was when you looked at yourself as I'm topless and it's wrong and it's shameful, you got that reaction, opposed to if you looked at it as I'm a fucking goddess.
Yes.
Then you got
noticing.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I've had to go to the I'm a fucking goddess and I have herpes and I get treated as a goddess and nobody cares about herpes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all, I mean, when we really get how powerful our thoughts are and our point of view is and our vibration is, and it can't just be sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit, 10 more affirmations. You've got to go, oh, look at that shit. You know, you have still shit in the ice cream cone when you get triggered.
And it may even cause an outbreak.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember years and years and years. I mean, to me, I feel like it's blessed, but like I would get it on my bum, not on my vagina. So it would be, I would always, every time I'd go to the bathroom, like for years, like a decade, I would always feel to see if there was one. And it was the anticipation of it, which was the welcoming of it, which was the perpetuating of the cycle of it. So I went through that phase.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't?
I went through the phase of going on the hardcore drugs that really made me sick, which lowered the outbreaks, but it didn't take them away. I went through the going on Chinese herbs, etc., and various things. So I would say like the things I put inside my mouth lowered, but it didn't really make a big impact until I went and did the emotional work. And I was given, I chose the assignment, but I was at a workshop once, and the assignment over the dinner break was, face your biggest fear, come back and share. And I'm like, okay, great. And get a partner so you're accountable. And so there was the woman, and I've always, ever since my friend died when I was 16, I've always just been very brave to live fully. And I'm like, well, if I'm really going to get something out of this workshop, I'm going to go face my fear of herpes. So she was like, my partner, she's like, this is exciting. Okay, there's 2,000 men here, or people here. Let's find the 3 hottest ones and tell them you have herpes. I'm like, and so that's what we did. And the very first one, because the vibration was down here, right? The vibration. So I'm like, hey, I'm Allana. I have herpes. He's like, ugh. And he walked away, and I went back to my partner. I'm like, I can't do this. And she's like, it's okay. We're good. It's okay. Let's go to the next one. And I'm like, hey, and I was feeling a little more confident, a little less giving a shit about the rejection, a little more like, I'm going to get over this. And I'm like, say, hey, I'm Allana. And I have herpes. Oh, that's your assignment for the dinner break. That's pretty bold. Fist bump, off he went. I'm like, okay, that was a little better. She's like, okay, let's keep going. And then she goes, that one. I'm like, oh, but I like him. I saw him at the lunch break. She's like, go. So I went over and I'm like, hey, I'm Allana. I have herpes. And he looked at me with the softest eyes and he goes, so do I.
Yes.
What's your favorite ice cream? And I said, a chocolate with almond and the mocha part. And he goes, where are you from? And we just had this beautiful conversation. And at the end, he had a tear in his eye. He goes, I think you healed me in your assignment. I hope I was a benefit to you or a contribution to you. And I was like, okay, see ya. And I went back and I was like floating. I had never met my deepest fear was that I would always meet with rejection. That was the belief in there. And I was
Mm-hmm.
met with acceptance, curiosity, kindness, intimacy. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God. And then all of the drugs or the Chinese medicine or all these other things I was taking, the outbreaks went down. But they were still, I would say, every 3 months. I often got them during my period, always got them if I
Oh, that's huge.
right during the cycle and during a stressful period of time, or if I didn't sleep. So I was able to sort of shift in my brain going, okay, so you're a gift to help me take extraordinary care of myself,
Mm-hmm.
sleep well, eat well, love myself well, honor myself. Okay, so I'm really like, okay, bud, that's fine. You can live in my body and you can be my.
Yep.
And then 14 months ago, because I'm always interviewing people,
Mm-hmm.
I found a product, it's not colloidal silver, it's called non-structured silver. It's
Mm-hmm.
a silver that is like way tinier. The little particles are way tinier, so that the herpes, when the particles are big, they can't eat them. And it lives. But when the particles are really small, the herpes can eat it and then it suffocates and it dies. And it goes into like remission. And this silver kills bacteria and viruses. And I'm like, well, shit, I've tried something for 25 fucking years. I'll try this too. It's been 14 months.
It's amazing.
No outbreaks, none. And I've gone through a little bit of stress.
Yeah.
A lot of stress, actually. And I've had obviously 14 cycles and nothing. And it feels like a gift for having done all the work all this time, to never give up on myself, never give up on my body, never give up on my spiritual journey. I feel like now, not like I've earned it, but like, okay, so if you keep working at something long enough, you will find the next level of solution. So I would also like to offer, if people want to like contact me, I'm sure you'll put my website or my email, just to contact me personally, actually is probably best. Let me tell you about it and give it a try, because I take it every morning and I've had no problems. And I've also had no colds. That's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's helped my immune system overall. It's helped my skin, like just anywhere where the bacteria is. It's even helped, like, when a little yeast infection comes on, I'll put some on a tampon and it's gone. So it's just been a really great help. And
that made me, I remember that phase too.
Right. So I guess I'm just a really safe person, as are you, to talk about all the different nuances of it.
Yeah.
This is another solution. Like, don't bypass the emotional journey, because who's to say?
I was just gonna say,
I didn't do all the emotional work, whether it would work so perfectly. But I feel in remission. I feel like I've got the lesson. I feel like my body and me are one, and herpes and I are one. And I am dating somebody now, and I totally told him, and it's no problem. I feel free.
Isn't it wild when you're okay with it, the person you date is totally okay with it?
Yeah. And the level of intimacy and vulnerability that can now go deeper, because that threshold you've passed, and the way our sex life is, and the way we can talk about our kids or about money. Like, I've never been this. It feels almost like aggressive kindness, or like assertive, bold, tender. It's like this self-love and honor mixed with boldness to have these conversations. And I've never been this real and free in my life. And he thinks I'm really hot, and I think that's really great.
That's amazing. And you are.
Oh, you're so sweet.
You are.
Thank you. I think our bodies respond when we tell it it's beautiful every day. Like, I'm 47, but my body doesn't look that much different than when I was 20, hating it every day.
Right. Right. Oh, that's huge.
All this love is, I don't really diet. I eat well. I love it. I talk to it beautifully. I touch it beautifully.
That's so beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing also about your little secret for the outbreaks. And I know we will be all over that. So thank you for sharing that. And I can't wait to.
Yeah. In all transparency, it's one of those you buy every month kind of thing. And you can cancel at any time, but I would try it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Might as well.
Yeah. So my email is Allana@allanapratt.com. That way you don't have to go through my manager or feel weird or anything. And then I'd love to give them like my trainings for free.
Yes. Oh yeah. Let's talk about your trainings, because they're pretty awesome. I was snooping around and when you sent them to me. So you have some vulnerability gifts. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I really have done this for 18 years. So the material is amazing. For ladies, at my website, allanapratt.com, right there at the front is vulnerability is the new sexy. It's how you feel irresistible and sacred and sexy. It's a 7-part training, totally free. So you just opt in there. And then for gentlemen, I have a site, gethertosayyes.com. And right there at the beginning is my training, how to be a noble badass. And again, it's all this internal sourcing of your badassness. So you're not looking to women anymore. And it makes you so irresistible, so confident. And it really ends the fear of rejection. So that's for guys, also totally free. So those are 2 things. And then coming up in December, as I said, is that 4-part video series. And that's when I really go deeper. Like, I'll take you for a good 15 minutes into these healing processes with little you, navigating intense emotions so that you really can be emotionally available to yourself and attracting the flakes and the people that don't go deep with you. And so that would be allanapratt.com/soul, like your soul -shaking, because that's what we're here for, a soul shaking conscious relationship. And that's free as well. And it just takes you through a beautiful 4 video series. And by the end of that, things will have hopefully really changed for you. And if you still require more support, go to Alexandra. This is her expertise. Go to me as your coach.
Yeah.
Expertise, like take the next step with who resonates with you and let yourself be held as we did to get to the next phase. Love yourself enough.
Yeah.
Love what's possible. You're getting married in 3 weeks. I have a bald hottie with tattoos that I think is so sexy guy in my life. Like it works. It works. And I'll put all these links in the show notes for those of you that are listening. So you can just go, you can go directly to it on lifewithherpes.com and you can find Allana's podcast and all of her. And you're going to be on my podcast, please.
Woohoo! I'm ready. We'll let you all know when we do that as well.
Yes.
And also Allana is into Instagram. So
like, what am I into?
Yeah, you're like, what am I into? I don't know. I also know you have a cat and his name is Muffin and your favorite ice cream is coffee almond fudge. So I know that too.
You're awesome. You're so awesome.
But anyways, no, you're really into Instagram. So I will link it. It's just Allana Pratt, but I'll link it so you guys can find her and follow her and all the videos and fun stuff.
Yeah, I love to answer people's questions and be however I can be of service every day.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. I mean, this was it was awesome to hear your story of being 20 years old in Japan and, and actually back to that whole phase when you said, you used a condom and then this, the next morning you went back at it again. That happens how many times? I feel like as soon as we sleep with someone, our guard's down. We're like, oh, it was okay. I was fine. I slept with him or her and nothing happened. So it's okay now. Like we let that guard down. So I was remembering what you were saying about that whole scenario. And yeah, I mean, that happens. That's life. That's part of sex. And maybe with or without the condom, it wouldn't have made a difference. The thing is, you don't know.
Yeah. And I have a almost 15-year-old boy and it's so wonderful that I don't judge myself. And so I don't judge him. Like when he was a little boy at the dinner table playing with his penis, I'm like, doesn't that feel great, honey? Let's just do that in the room when we have guests. Okay. Yeah. Like no shame, but just like guidance. So now that he's older, I told him the truth of how I got herpes and that, it was just one time when I decided not to use the condom and that's all it took. And that in, this day and age, that could be AIDS. That could be something a lot scarier. And to where can we find our voice? Can we find our courage? Can we find our boldness? Can we find our self-love? And then I can just arm him with those tools and just set him free in the world of growing up.
And have that conversation and let them know and not hide the fact that you have herpes or not be shameful about it or be like, I would never tell my kids that I didn't use a condom or whatever, whatever the story is, whatever our story is.
Yeah. I won't hold myself in shame.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to either. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
you're awesome. Happy marriage.
Thank you. I'm excited. They'll be on Instagram too. Absolutely. They'll probably be on a podcast. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do a podcast on our honeymoon or something.
Do it. Yeah. And thank you for who you are in the world and your bravery.
You too.
And your heart. I'm so grateful to know you and
Me too.
Fist pump girl.
I know. I'm so glad we met at the summit and it was like across the room. I'm like, oh, I need to talk to her.
Same, right? I'm so glad I followed up. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for being open and being vulnerable and intimate and sharing your secrets, sharing your past, and just talking about it, and then providing solutions for this community that will change their future. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
you.
Wow.